This is a dream called the Firestorm. This is a dream from August of 2009. I actually had this dream several times, but the most prominent time and the time I wrote it down was August of 2009. In this dream, it was a small town, Midwestern town. There were people hustling and bustling about the town, enjoying themselves. There was a lot of buildings and stuff like that. And there was a warning being given out that there was a storm coming and everyone should prepare. It was sunny out and stuff like that, and everybody just ignored the warning. People it looked like they were dressed in their Sunday best, moseying around the parks and on the sidewalks, walking around, so on and so forth. And then there started to appear some clouds in the distance. And the clouds were dark, just a few small ones, and they were dark. Which stuck out like a sore thumb. It almost looked like maybe there's something in the sky, but it was clouds in the distance, and they were really dark. And then the warning was started broadcasting again. And they gave an updated warning. And this was on radios, this was on TVs and stuff like that. They were saying they expect this to be the mother of all storms. They have not had a storm like this ever. And everyone needs to take shelter, be prepared, get into a secure place, the normal rigmarole. But they were really emphasizing this in the warnings. So, people started heading towards various homes and buildings and stuff like that. And some people decided to stay out, just moseying about like they did not hear the warning whatsoever. At this point, some of the people, for some reason, seemed to be turning into mannequins. It was kind of odd. At first, I thought in my dream that maybe they were turning to stone structures, stuff like, but they were kept on moving a little bit, and it was like mannequins. That's a better way to phrase it or describe it. It's just odd. It's like they're turning plastic. It's like they're not there. Like they're just a mannequin. Walking around, a mannequin walking around. So, the first part of my dream was from like a third person point of view, just watching everything going on. And then right after the mannequin part and noticing that, my point of view changed to a first person. But I was silent, it was like one of those, I'm there, but I'm not there. And then in my dream, I saw that the clouds were getting closer. The sky was filled with dark clouds. And the lightning was all different colors. It was ridiculous. And people had gone to their houses, and some of the other people that were out and about they were starting to get a little concerned because they were trying to get back to where, they needed to be, but not really. There was no rush. The peculiar thing about this dream is that the people that went back to their houses, Italianate style houses with front porches, tall, skinny houses. There's a bunch of them in a row. People were hanging out on the front porch. They were sitting inside with the doors and windows open, sitting around tables, playing cards, just having a good old time. Some of them drinking, some of them eating, stuff like that. Nobody really paying attention to anything to the storm that was coming. And it's interesting because all these houses, all the buildings and all the houses, they all had a word on them. And I don't know if you've ever seen some of these older buildings where they have a name or a word above the building, especially the front doorway. It's normally the older buildings do because it's like, it's almost like a nod to who funded the building and so on and so forth, like the Canning building or the Johnson building, something like that. Anyways, so all these houses and buildings all had words above them or on them, on the front of them. And the words were things like faith, grace, customs, traditions, religiosity, a whole bunch of stuff like that. And all these houses, another thing is that all these houses that people were going into to kind of, harbor ride out the storm, they weren't taken too seriously, were all the houses were made of different materials. Like some were made of siding, some were brick, some were, some type of sheet metal, stuff along those lines. It was just peculiar. And of course, they all had names associated with each type of building. And then a final warning came over the radio. And the TVs and stuff, and the guy's like, the broadcaster or whatever, which was weird because it's like there was no picture of it. It was just a voice that was there everywhere, almost like it was warning, almost as if, hey, it's like God, giving everybody a warning. And he was like, this is going to be like nothing we've ever seen. It's time to buckle up. Get to a safe place. Get to a place underground. If you don't have a safe place or place underground at your place, get to the old mine shaft in town. But you need to get somewhere safe because this storm is going to destroy everything. And after that broadcast, that message, a lot of people were laughing and joking about it. Like, ha ha ha, yeah, they always say stuff like this and it never comes true. Well, then the storm got super close. It was lightning. The wind picked up. The lightning was different colors. It was kind of crazy. And some of the people that were out moseying about that were not inside buildings started to get swept away. Literally blown away, sucked up. It wasn't a tornado yet, but it was like the wind was just so powerful, it was just blocking away. And right before that point, there was a group of me. I was with the group, I should say. And there was about 8-9 other individuals, and we went into this mine shaft that was in the center of town, this old mining shaft. And it had steel doors that swung shut from the inside and bolted into the ground and into the ceiling and to each other. There's a little slide latch so you can open it to see out, just big enough so you can see what's going on. I mean, these are like blast doors like you would see in a movie. And we went in there, lit a little lamp, and there was a whole bunch of supplies in there to stay in there for a while if need be, to help people in an event of a catastrophe, stuff like that, like all this medical supplies and everything else. So we had the door shut, bolted, and we were inside and we opened the sliding hatch and looked out, and the storm was utter darkness. There was lightning everywhere, different colors lightning, and we saw a tornado of fire that came down, and it just started literally destroying and leveling everything. But it's interesting because as it was starting to destroy all the buildings and everything like that, people were trying to outrun it in their foolishness. And it was just like they were just getting sucked up and killed, destroyed. The houses were getting leveled, so on and so forth. Anybody that was left out in the open, they did not fare well at all. And after like 5 minutes of the storm just blowing through, all of a sudden it was gone. And it was overcast, but it was gone. It was a gentle breeze in the air. And we unbolted the doors for the mine, the blast doors, whatever, and we went out. All of us did. And it was just utter devastation everywhere. Like there was nothing left. The whole town basically had been wiped off the map. And you could hear people crying though. So not everybody was dead. There was like dead people everywhere. People destroyed, people just, people in half, like split in half somehow and stuff like that. But you could hear some people crying, like there was people that were injured or trapped and hurt within those buildings that had those various names on them. And the group that I was with, when they stepped outside of the blast doors and they just looked at everything and just like shook them to the core. And they were looking around and they're like, oh my gosh, like everything is gone. Like there's nothing here anymore. And then their response was, they all dropped to their knees. Except for a couple, not me and not another person. I think there was like maybe another one, but majority of the people that were in the blast shelter, when they got outside and they saw all the devastation and just the death everywhere and everything like that, they dropped to their knees and they just started weeping. And then they started wailing about, why me, God? Why did you save me? Why did you let me be saved? And stuff like that. And yet you hear people calling for help. And we had all these supplies in the shelter and the thing. And yet all these people just basically were rendered useless. They did not want to help. All they wanted to do was sit there on their knees and whine and feel sorry for themselves for some reason that they were able to survive this horrible storm because they paid attention and listened and stuff. But yeah, that was the end of the dream. Was after they fell to their knees and started crying and whining.